We use so-called core component annotations within the XML, that is part of these naming and design rules, to do the presentation across schemas. So it's not really needed. If you would not use core component annotations, then it would the engine would just look at the XML tags and base their presentation on the text. If there's an annotation on core components, then it uses the core components as the presentation control, and that has the advantage that they are hierarchically organized, so you can have specializations there. That is not possible within XML text. Then your question, what webforms does is read an XML message from the file system or place it on the file system. So it should be picked up by some utility and if needed, encrypted and signed and enveloped, and depends on depending on the protocol you use. At the moment, we implemented it so that it uses an email client as an attachment structure to send the XML. But you could use FTP, you could use web services or whatever instead. And maybe for what we see in the electronic invoicing environment that some business partners like web services because they don't trust email, and others can't use web services and they want email. So you probably control this by a user table or a business partner table, which path to go. We placed the software all on the in open source at the moment in Google Code. It's extensible. We tried to annotate the source code good enough so that we could extend it and other people could extend it. We made a small installation package, but that was rather dedicated for the environment of the users that we did a pilot for. What we still need to do is make an installation package that runs on different types of browsers, different types of operating systems, etc. Well, the rest I've told you. The applications of webforms we envisage at the moment are first large organizations like this multinational company that have integrated already with a number of large business partners and now have the trouble of connecting their small business partners. So this multinational company is really trying to use webforms to get rid of their call centers. Another one, and that's the university as an example, is an organization that has a system and wants to connect the business partners, in this case a maintenance system, and wants to connect the maintenance companies and also for copiers, etc. All facility management stuff to their system without some manual work in between. So they are giving away webforms to those organizations. It's also fitted for small organizations that want to be able to communicate with large organizations. For instance, to send e-invoices to the government. Government has a big plan of implementing e-invoices, and they promise to pay quicker when you send the invoice electronically. Well, that could be done by means of webforms. Or an organization that has a system but not the interface over the web for the number of users they want. And well, in fact, what we are offering is a very simple way of creating user interfaces if you have an XML interface. Future possibilities would be to in and export selected elements and attributes from the XML to existing systems. Most EDI type of systems have the idea that they can handle all data in an XML message and read and write it from and to a business system. In practice, it appears to be that not all business systems have all information that needs to be sent to the trading partner is received. And EB forms can be tailored so in the annotation file again that you send only selected elements. We can already did make a mechanism to look up codes and to look up identifiers. What we saw in the drop-down list was the names of the articles, if you remember that. What is in the XML is the code, is the identifier of the article. So the mix between names and codes is also implemented. Calculations, validations, I already showed you that. That is not in the future, but that's today. And workflow control, what we already discussed about. And what we need to do is to make the editor of the annotation file more friendly, and maybe by means of EB forms itself. Status is, we have now a pilot running rather successfully, but within a very closed environment. We have to really look to the computer environment of these small companies to implement that. But it works, and they get orders and they send confirmations. We are starting next week a pilot with this multinational company for their small customers, and this multinational company is also planning a pilot for their carriers, for transporters next year. They have a lot of smaller truckers that they want to send transport orders to, and they would like them to receive that by means of EB forms. At least they want to send it by means of XML. And well, maybe we can start to pilot that UI. Now some issues. I don't know if we have enough time, but otherwise over the coffee we can discuss those. We have the problem with Xforms. We use Forms Player, but when I want to use the Firefox Xforms plugin, it behaves differently. So I need to change a lot of code depending on the browser and depending on the engine, and that's not so very good, I think.
I don't know if you've come across XSLT forms, but it would fit perfectly in the project because it's a processor that works across all the browsers. It's the one I use myself, and again it uses an XSLT transformation to transform it into HTML plus JavaScript.
Oh, well. We will need to talk more about that. Yeah. So the implementation different, and I want, in fact, ideally only one implementation of the script, of course.
Is that an issue of the quality of the Xform standard, or is it the
quality implementation of it?
Implementation,
yes. No, not all engines implement all features, and some implement features differently. And maybe that's an issue of the standard, because maybe it's not well described in the standard.
Well defined.
Yes. Yeah.
And if the problem is that the standard is not so good defined, then it's not so much hope for the future. Maybe.
Yeah. Also, if you don't have a strong implementation, it could well be that there are probably some issues with the standard, but you don't know it because there's actually no real use of it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. No real user, did you say?
Well, is that not true then?
No, there are hundreds of users.
Yeah, but why then is there no... so there is a reference implementation of Xforms or something like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes? Okay, it's not just in web browsers then?
Sorry?
It's just not in web browsers.
That's right. It's not natively in the web browsers. That's right.
Mm-hmm. Unfortunately. When I started this project a few years ago, I was hoping that after 2 versions, it would be natively in all web browsers, but it didn't happen yet. But we're still hoping.
The browser manufacturers are very anti-XML. That's the big problem.
Well, performance is an issue, but in fact we never looked at performance really, and mostly the performance issues are this way, that if you look at it carefully, then you can easily take away some bottlenecks. In this case, we have already some ideas how to improve the performance. And by the way, for the pilot, it performs well enough. And we need a better shell script to combine that with an email package and with the transportation mechanism, etc. We did it now a little bit with Word batch files and these type of things, but this needs to be done more professionally, especially when we roll it out with the clients of the multinational company. And well, that is related to it. We need a real good package that is a no-brainer for people to install. Our target market are typically very small companies that just want to click twice and then it should work, and not answer all kinds of difficult questions. That's also something to do. And then my personal issue is I told you I'm not an IT, I don't have an IT background, and I started this open source thing, webforms, how to extend it, how to get people enthusiastic to work together with me, how to organize such a thing, and I would hope that especially today with all open source people around, I could get some more tips how to approach that.
Ik wou Fred bedanken.